So, just a bit of a recap. We've pulled the Chevy out of the barn, we've thrown it in the workshop, and we're going to start prepping it for drag week next year. Right, so here we've taken the rear axle out of the car. We've braced the rear axle for some strength. We've shortened the axle 2 inches either side so we can put some bigger tyres and rims under the rear. We've also taken the gear set out, and we've ordered a new strange rear end for it with a different ratio and spline count. Here we're pulling apart the front suspension. We need to prep this also for some suspension upgrades to get the front end up higher. So as you know, last week we went seat shopping, got them back to the car, and we weren't 100% happy with them. Not being funny, but the seat's just so f***ing big, look. It's just massive. It's getting serious now, dude, with a seat like that, Jesus. We're going to have to call some people and see if we can get away without having those ears, because we are going to run the hands device, which straps your neck to the helmet anyway. It's just a massive seat, so I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll have to sleep on it. So, as you can probably all guess by now, we've changed the seats. We weren't happy with them. They were just overkill for what we were trying to do. Smaller seat, fits in the car better. Much happier with this decision. Right, so we're heading off to the steel shop now to pick up some material to modify these front shock towers. And someone forgot to strap the pipes on. Job done. How's that secure load on the back?
That's currently secure. And they're going. Oh, it's off. It's off.
Is that past, you f***ing idiots?
Health and safety first, Chris. You're
Always.
I thought you were very health and safety.
I am. I did strap it down, but... So we ended up not only back bracing the diff, we took 2 inches out of either side. We've chosen a tyre size, which is, I think, it's a 29 by 295. So we've gone from an 8-inch rim, and we're going to try and jam a 10-inch rim under it. So as you can see, the tyre's touching the spring there, but the 10-inch rim has a 4-inch backspace. So they turn up tomorrow, so we're going to throw those on, make sure the tyres fit, make sure we don't have to cut any of the inner wheel well out, and then we can get it off for paint. But we're going to get a bigger tyre under there than what I thought, which is fantastic. So more of the drag week car later. On to another project that we have in the shop. This is a friend of mine, Jim. He's got a 28 Model A Roadster that we've built a chassis for, all the suspension, and here we've just had everything back from paint. So we're going to unbox everything and start to reassemble. So these are a genuine set of 28 Model A rails. They're factory rails. We've boxed all the rails in. We've made new engine mounts for a small block Chev. We've made a crosser member for a power glide, and we've notched the rear frame 4 inches and extended it 4 inches. Didn't turn out too bad, Jim, for a couple of hacks. 100-year-old set of chassis rails, eh? Over here is Jim's body. Notching that firewall for the distributor. I lineage that. That was a flat edge like that. I'm gonna put a lineage on there. I just did that with the grinder. Look how clean that looks. They've put a lot of paint in them. So this is a small block Chev. It's a little 350 that I had in my fleet line previously. We stripped it down, pulled heads off it, went through everything, threw it back together. Jim's thrown a coat of orange paint over it. We're going to assemble it, throw the transmission on the back, and finally throw it back in the rails. Right, so we've got a two-speed power glide here, so we're going to throw the converter in, throw the box on, hopefully for the last time, and chuck it in the chassis rails and keep moving forward with the build. Now I'm about to put this bad little mamma jamma in. So Jim wanted a pretty traditional style hot rod build, so I was trying to convince him to paint the block black, but he wanted it orange, and I think it's a pretty good fit, to be fair, because the rest of the car, everything's going to be gloss black, and I think that orange pops in that chassis rail. This has got a Mustang 2 front clip in it. Obviously that was just used for the street, so we only had about 3 inches of suspension travel overall, but what we're trying to do with the front end is get the front end up when we launch to transfer the weight to the back of the vehicle. So we kind of figure that we've spoken to a few guys, and we need at least 4 inches extra, because we're going to put a taller shock in it. So what we're going to do over here, if you look over this side, we're going to take those we're going to plasma cut those top strut towers out, and we're going to lift them up 4 inches, and that way we kind of feel like we should have roughly 5 inches of upward travel, which should be enough to get this old turd's front end up. So we've plasma cut the top mounts out of the car, and we're going to raise them 4 inches. So just going to do it old school, grinder, welder, get some pipe, cut some 100mm sections out, beat it around a bit with a hammer, and weld them in the car and see what we can come up with. Come here. Keep right here, that thing's... Back in there like that, once that's all cleaned up. I think what we'll end up doing is tracing around here, relieving that radius there. I reckon that's it. Alright, so the wheels are on, 15 by 10s, 4-inch backspace, and surprisingly, they're going to work without any wheel tubbing at all. As you can see on the inside, loads of clearance to the inner spring, whereas it was touching before. I've just run a straight edge up the wheel to the inside of the arch, and we've still got about 10 to 15 mil to play with. So I think that's pretty crazy to think that we can get a 10-inch rim under the back of this thing without any mods at all. I really thought we were going to have to take that lip off the inside of the rail and weld it up, and potentially even take the inner lip out of the outside of the arch. So they're on. As you can see, very, very large wheel. So the goal is to run, it's a 29-inch high tyre, and it's a 295. So that's a big tyre to put on this thing. So you can see it's a big wheel, but it sits under there almost perfectly. So couldn't ask for much more than that, hey? Very happy. One less thing we've got to worry about. So next on the agenda is to order the slick and mount them up to the wheel and see if they'll foul on anything inside the arches. So great news, fantastic.